Now in part 3, you get to find out how the United States almost fell apart. Remember, open the Google Doc, answer the questions, and turn it in when you're finished with the video.
Really, there are two big wars in the United States history that you need to know first. And we already talked about one. That was the War of Independence, or the American Revolution, about 100 years before this, about 80 years before this. And now we're going to talk about the second big war, when the United States almost fell apart. So look where we are on our timeline. This is just the last 500 years, and here is the Civil War, not too far from where we are today. In 1861, a group of states in the South voted, well, only the white men actually voted, to leave the United States. They wanted to keep slaves to work the farms. So here are the southern states, including us. There we are, Georgia. Texas was included, Florida, Virginia even. These states said, we need slaves to work our farms. And you, government, who is in Washington, D.C., you're up north. You cannot tell us what to do. Because these people said slavery should be illegal, because it is an evil. It is not right. But these people said, but economically, we need them to make a living. And so they literally voted to leave the country. And that's what started the war between the South and the North. A civil war, by definition, is a war within a country. So some of you may have had civil wars in your own country. I know El Salvador had a civil war a few decades ago, for example. But it's a terrible thing because you have people fighting each other in your own country, sometimes families fighting each other. About 620,000 soldiers died in the American Civil War. All right, I should back up here. The American Civil War started. The North, called the Union, fought against the South, called the Confederacy. The war lasted 4 years. Here is the Confederate flag. Some people in the South still fly this flag. And it's actually a point of a huge controversy. When people fly this flag in the South, they are communicating that they want to hold on to certain things about the South that existed before the Civil War. And many people see this as a very racist symbol. All right. The North won. I'm going to move myself down here. There we go. Hopefully that worked. The North won. As a result, the Union was preserved, the slaves were freed, and the southern states once again were part of the USA. So here's our little flag uniting the country again. You might remember that Abraham Lincoln was the president. That was from our Famous Americans. So anyway, so he was president during this time, and then you might remember he was assassinated right at the end of the war. But the Union is back together again. All right, now we're looking at the next, maybe 100 years. After the Civil War, more territories became states. Oh, I got to move myself again. Let's see, I'll come over here. All right, more territories became states. Each state has its own story. By 1959, we had 50 states, 48 in the continental U.S., so there are 48 states here. And here is up through 48. So you might recognize some of these states. You might recognize Colorado. Wyoming is the state I was born. It's over here. New Mexico, Arizona became states. All right, so what about the last two states? They are right here, Alaska and Hawaii. And so Hawaii was the one that became a state 2 years before I was born. They're not in the continental U.S. because they are not attached. They're not contiguous to the United States. So a couple more things we'll talk about. The American flag. The American flag. Now it has 50 stars to signify 50 states. It still has the 13 stripes representing the 13 original colonies. Some people think that Puerto Rico is a state, and it's not a state. It's a territory. I think there are people in Puerto Rico who would like to be a state, and I don't know all the issues surrounding that. But anyway, but Puerto Rico is not included in the 50. So just looking at perspective here, you all. So I want to take just a minute. Bear with me about time. We started back in 12,000 BC, and we're looking at 14,000 years. Most of that, 12,000 of those years, only the Native Americans were in this land. Okay, so lots and lots of history. 1492, everything changed. And now, if we take this little part of history right here, and we expand it out, we're looking at the last 500 years. So we had 14,000 years of Native Americans, and then everybody else, 500 years. African people who were brought mainly as slaves, people from Europe, from England, France, Spain, Portugal, but also from all kinds of countries in Europe, Italy, Poland, people from Russia, and people from all over the world began coming. Now we get people from Asia, all parts of Asia. Oh, Chinese people started coming then. We have people from Africa who come now, not at all as slaves, but who come. Some of the best educated people we have come from Africa now. And so we have had there we go. The people of this land have changed a lot in the last 500 years. And now we are here in 2000. The story of the USA continues. That is the very short story of how this land became the United States. Here I am. Okay. There is, of course, much more to tell as people from all continents come here to become part of our nation. So we are here, and this is the future. And so we are part of history, you guys, and this is why I love teaching what I do, teaching you guys, because you are part of people coming from other parts of the world to make our country into what it is today. You're part of that whole story, just like my ancestors were part of that story a few hundred years ago. Barack Obama said that this nation is a nation of immigrants, that we've always been a nation of immigrants. I hope you get the idea of that from these videos. And I hope it helps you in your history classes. Bye, everyone. Be sure to answer your questions and turn them in on Google Classroom. See you in class.